Hi, in this video I'll help you get to know your car a little better. At the end of this video I've put together a straightforward infographic that summarizes all the key points. Like, subscribe and comment below. It really helps.
So, that dreaded check engine light is on, and it's spitting out a code that sounds like gibberish. P1404. It can be a real pain, I know. But don't you worry. In this explainer, we are going to completely demystify what your Dodge is trying to tell you, and more importantly, how you can get it fixed.
Look, if you're here, you're probably feeling a little frustrated, trying to figure out what to do next. We're going to turn that feeling into a solid plan. We'll walk through the whole diagnostic process together, from understanding the problem to pinpointing the exact solution. All right, first things first, before we can even think about grabbing any tools, we need to get a handle on what this P1404 code actually is. Think of it as a very specific message coming straight from your car's main computer.
Now, the official definition you'll see is EGR position sensor rationality closed. Sounds super technical, right? But all it really means is that your car's computer is, well, confused. It told the EGR valve to do one thing, but the signal it got back from the sensor doesn't match up. It's basically the computer throwing its hands up and saying, hey, this doesn't make any sense.
So, let's put on our detective hats. That code, P1404, that's our big clue. And it points us to a list of 6, let's call them potential suspects. Our job is to investigate each one and crack this case. And here it is. This is our entire diagnostic roadmap. This little table shows every single thing that could be causing that P1404 code, along with the specific fix for each one. We're just going to work our way right down this list, starting with the most common stuff first. Think of it as our master checklist.
Okay, so where do we start our investigation? Well, with almost any modern engine problem, the first place you want to look is the wiring. These electrical gremlins are often the culprit, and in our case, 3 of our 6 suspects live right here.
First up is the EGR solenoid assembly. You know, a lot of the time, the problem isn't even the part itself, it's the wires going to it. If those wires get frayed or cracked or even just unplugged, boom, you get the code.
And this is exactly why you always start here. The fix could be ridiculously simple. I mean, before you even think about buying a new part, your very first move should be to just get in there and look. Follow the wires, check the connectors, you might find the problem in 30 seconds.
Moving on to our second electrical suspect. This one's about the wire that acts like a messenger. It's supposed to carry the signal from the sensor back to the car's computer. But if that wire gets shorted to ground somewhere, that message gets lost, and the computer never hears it.
So, what's the solution? Same idea as before. You're going to play detective again. You need to trace that specific wire from end to end and inspect it for any breaks or damage that could be causing that short.
Now, I know this sounds a lot like the last one, but listen up because this is a totally different circuit. This is the control circuit. This is the wire the computer uses to give orders to the solenoid. If this one shorts out, the command never makes it through.
With this particular issue, though, the fix is much more clear-cut. A short in the solenoid's own control circuit almost always means the solenoid itself has failed internally. So the only solution here is to replace the whole unit.
Okay, so let's say you've checked all the wiring, you've wiggled all the connectors, and everything looks perfect. What's next? Well, now we have to shift our focus and start looking at the actual hardware, the physical parts of the EGR system that could have gone bad.
You might plug in a diagnostic scanner and see this weird phrase pop up. Good trip equal to 0. It's just technical jargon, but what it means is pretty simple. The computer ran a little self-test on the EGR valve, and it failed. The computer has decided the valve is physically stuck and isn't moving like it should.
And if the valve itself is physically stuck, there's really only one thing you can do. You've got to replace the entire EGR valve assembly to get your engine running right again.
So in this scenario, the valve itself could be moving perfectly fine, but the sensor that's supposed to be watching it has just given up. The sensor can fail internally, and when it does, it starts sending junk data back to the computer, which, you guessed it, triggers our P1404 code.
And just like our other parts, if the sensor itself is the problem, the only real path forward is to replace it. A new sensor will make sure the computer is getting accurate information about what that valve is actually doing. We've checked the wires. We've checked the parts. Now we have to consider our final and, let's be honest, most critical suspect, the big boss, the main computer that's running the whole show. That's the PCM, or the Powertrain Control Module.
Just think of it as the brain of your vehicle's engine. It's taking in all the information from all the sensors and making all the decisions. It is the heart of the entire operation.
Now, I have to be really clear about this. This is the least common cause, but it can happen. Sometimes the problem isn't a bad wire or a bad sensor at all. The brain itself is the problem, misreading good signals and throwing a false code. This should be the absolute last thing you check.
If and only if all 5 other causes have been completely ruled out, you're left staring at the PCM. This is the most complex fix, of course, because replacing the vehicle's brain is a big job, and it usually requires special programming to match your specific vehicle.
So, we did it! We've investigated all 6 suspects, from a simple loose wire all the way up to the car's computer. Now let's pull all of this together into a clear, step-by-step action plan to get that check engine light off for good.
Here is your 4-step game plan. Step 1, read the code. You've already done that. Step 2, review the potential causes. We just did that together. Now it's your turn for Step 3. Methodically go down the list, find the culprit, and apply the right fix. And then comes the best part. Step 4, clear that code and enjoy the sweet, sweet silence of a happy dashboard. You now have the complete diagnostic map for code P1404. You know all the suspects and all the solutions. The only question left is, where are you going to start? Remember my advice, always start with the simplest checks first, the wiring. Good luck and happy wrenching.